Unprotected screen. Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong. Welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. I have here my DS203 Pocket digital storage scope and its bundle of probes here. And the reason I have it here is because there is a problem. What I've noticed is that one of these probes, and I can't really tell which one it is a bit duff. I've got the wave out now connected to this one, so this is the signal generator output of the unit, so we should be getting a signal. And I'm going to hook the actual other end of one of the probes to there, and we'll see if we can get it to display on the screen. Okay, it took me a bit of fettling, but I've got it kind of running now, and you can see, look, when I put this probe in, I'm getting a waveform there. That's on channel B. Channel A, not seeing anything, so something strange there certainly going on. But you see how it goes on and then off again? Something smells funny. And I'm going to move the probe around to the other side, and we've got channel C and D. D I can't seem to get on, so it's staying hidden. But C, on the other hand, see, I'm seeing it there on C? You can see it there wibbling away. Plug it in, let go. It kind of makes me think it might be the probe. Anyway, that doesn't matter, and I don't want that to stop us from having a look inside. So let's just go straight ahead and do a teardown. And it does use these rather nifty hex head screws, just to be slightly more annoying, but I have a imperial and a metric Allen key set, fortunately, and they've got ball ends, which is nice. And the ball end, it lets you use them at an angle like this. Very groovy. If you're going to get them with a ball on the end. Pop the cover off. Big old battery. Good. Big battery's good. Is this still on? No, it's off. And there's our ports. Buttons on the top. So I'm going to try to lever it out from the back. And it does lever out from the back rather nicely. And it's easy to take the battery out, actually. I could have just undone that. Just going to hold those. Ah! Lost A button. Wow, look at this though. Even the buttons are actually, I know it's going to be hard to see, but the buttons themselves are actually machined out of this anodized metal and shaped. So that's going to be interesting. How do I put that one back in? Gonna worry about that a little bit later. So there's not really too much to see. You've got the PCB there, and it's looking pretty good. Our port, that looks to be a buzzer right there. USB in, on-off switch, a couple of the channels there. Other side, wave output, a couple more channels. Really not much to go wrong. And looking at the PCB, I doubt, I can just see in there at an angle without taking the shielding off. These are soldered in fine. There is nothing wrong with these, so I've just got to believe it's the probes themselves. Okay, it took much fettling, but I've determined this probe is rubbish. That's basically it. The probe, there's two probes with this, one that has the attenuator built in and one that doesn't, and the one that doesn't isn't working, because if I plug the one that has the attenuator in, you can see if I put it on A, it's definitely triggering. It might not be showing us what we want to see, but that's more of a configuration thing. B, you can see it's floating, it's not really doing any real triggering, but there's a kind of a very crude sine wave coming through there. And C and D are logic ports, but you can definitely see them flipping. That's their sort of logic again. Imagine a sine wave being displayed just as above a certain threshold, it would look like a square wave. So that is that really, and I'm really disappointed because we have this sort of dead probe now. So I'm gonna swap the probes around. Let's see if we can just work out where this probe is dead. And I'm gonna shove this into those logic-y ports. Just hold that gingerly in there. And I'm sort of wiggling the connector, nothing. Playing with the wire, so look. Possibly there's a break in the wire somewhere. Where that break is, nobody knows. So we've got nothing to lose at this point. We know we're going to have to do something with this, so why don't we actually investigate? So we're bending it kind of here. We might have a little bit of wire there, so I'm just going to cut it right there, and then I'm going to cut this chunk out, which is probably a couple of inches, a healthy chunk. So if we're lucky and we've cut the break out, then we can join these back up, and then we'll get hopefully a good result. I'm just a little bit annoyed I've touched that raw screen and put my fingerprints on it, because you know you can never clean those. Let's see if we can get some signal flow in here. Now we're not going to worry too much about the shielding, and the reason is for our test we only need to really test the core of that, because the shielding of course is ground and the oscilloscope grounds are all going to be grounded, so we will be able to see our signal just fine. So I'm just peeling those back. It is a bit of an awkward format, unfortunately. Got to be a tiny bit careful with this bit because we don't have much to play with. But it does. Okay. So we seem to have extracted our center pin here. I'm not sure where the pin portion is. Certainly don't see it. Okay, fine. Let's regroup. So we're going to try to strip this back and then I guess thread this down the middle as far as it can go, but we do have now all of this shielding wire in our way. Yeah, it's going to be a problem. I can see the pin actually. Let's see. It's floating around in there. I guess we've got nothing to lose at this point, so why don't we do a teardown of one of these connectors and just take off the overmolding. Where's my sharp knife? We have this sharp knife. I'm going to try to not slice myself. Okay, trying to peel this back. It's quite well overmolded. Oh, there we go. We got it. We got it. There's a nice crimp in there. So I've thrown the overmoldy bit away. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to want to use that again. So can we get the crimp off? It's going to be a challenge. Oh, it's tough. I can really hear it crunching my knuckles, basically trying to get that off. You can see from the end. You obviously pushed that on and really crimped it. There is a seam though, I can see the seam. Or is there? Yeah, let's see. Get a better look inside it. It does have a couple of bits and pieces, but you can see it's slid now. It has slid off ever so slightly, but we have taken a chunk out of the inner part of this connector. Woohoo! That went miles. Come on! So there's a good chance we can salvage this probe by just making up our own center pin. We might be able to find the one that was in here. Oh. I'm just trying to open out the hole again. Right, so we have a hole, an A hole, no pin. Right, let me clear the decks here because we've got a lot of very fine bits of copper. We really don't want to go into our DSO screen. The pin is still in there. So if there's a chance we can get that pin out, I like to think never say never, we'll be able to save this. I can see it just in the end here, and I'm hoping I haven't damaged this so much that it's completely unretrievable. I'm just going to try for a little pokey poke. A little pokey poke in the end. Yep, it's there. And it's a soldery. a solder type pin, so you should be able to solder back onto that. Let's peel this back. Okay. Well, we know we're not going to be crimping to this, so I guess it doesn't matter. We're going to have to learn how to solder onto it. It's very fragile material. So I wonder if that was the flaw all along, really. It was just a fault in the soldering of that centre pin, and it's just a bit, you know, you tug on the wire ever so slightly and it just moves. Right, we're at the point now where we've got to be careful because we're going to have nothing to solder onto. Ah! Come on, get out now. You can just see it ever so slightly, just poking its head through in there. One good shove, that's all it'll take. One good shove. So I might have a look on the internet, see if there's any adapters, because I'm sure if we can just adapt from a normal BNC connector to these, we can just use standard probes. Not have to mess around with these tiny teeny ones. One last push, come on. It's just there, just stuck. Floating around. God, I hope these aren't my good side cutters. No, not anymore anyway. There it is! Huzzah! We have it. We have it indeed. Let's turn the soldering iron on. So we're just going to solder this onto that pin, and then we're going to feed it through as best we can, and then we're going to try to solder this braid onto there somehow. And before I do that though, I'm just going to slip some pieces of heat shrink on there. I'm not sure which ones I need, but it'll certainly be impossible to slip most of those on afterwards. There's a nice bit of blue. Oh, we never use blue. It's just that bit too fat, but it's okay. Let's take the chance. Yes, sirree. On it goes. Good. I think that's more than sufficient. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. Right. There's our bit of solder from earlier. Waste not, want not. Solder applied. I do feel I'm going to need something to grip this. I do have these. They're kind of horrible, to be honest with you, but horrible but useful. A necessary evil. Also, the camera kind of hates them because it never knows which to focus on, here or here. So I'm going to trim this down. I don't think we're going to need more than a couple of mil. Yep, those side cutters definitely are shafted now. Pin inserted. So that's probably about as good as we're going to get and as good as we're going to need. So poke that through. So the crimping was holding this whole pin in then, I guess. The power of the crimp. God, that's just about right too. Just about right. You can see it's poking through just the right length. Now here is the challenge. And I might just peel this back for now. The challenge is, can we solder to the body of one of these? I'm just going to grab it there. This is going to take some doing. Just checking the pin is still where we want it, although it's a bit kind of off-centered. It is taking solder. It is taking solder indeed, and look, it has actually taken solder all the way around. So what we'll do is we'll just gingerly cut back some of these, ow, very hot wires. I'm going to fold those forward. Pin's still there, yep. And I'm just going to sort of drench that area in solder so it just soaks up into that bit of braid. And I think this will be good. It's not going to go anywhere after that. So that's the back side done. Foreside. I think that's pretty good. Ah, so hot. It's crazy hot. I don't have a damp cloth, anything to cool that down. So while that's happening though, let's have a look at this pin. Yeah, it's kind of floating around a little bit, but it's hard to see on the camera. Ow! Hard to see on the camera, but it's going to align fine. So we've got this bit of heat shrink. I'm just going to sort of wet my finger with my spit. That's all I've got on me right now. Cool this down so I can just kind of see if we can get this across. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go, but look at that, that was champion, wasn't it? A Herculean effort required. Got it there. I'm going to assume that it's going to work, so let's just bomb this straight on. Done. So, the moment of truth. We'll pop on our DSO. I'm gonna really gingerly get off, Mr. Dust. Trying to convince those flakes of dust to leave the screen. It beeped as I plugged it in, but only because I held one of the buttons down by accident. Hooray! Oh, that's absolutely marvellous. I'm dead chuffed with that. I am dead chuffed. I've managed to save it. So what I'm going to do, not in this video, but just later on, I'm going to get some other heat shrink and I'm going to put it over the top, right down to the end of this sort of ferrily bit. And then that will be pretty much my own concoction. Looking in the bin, I'm just sort of leant over, looked in the bin. Yeah, it probably is possible if you were really keen to reuse the overmold. Shall I have a go? Yeah, come on. Let's see. The overmold was about here. So you could even mix up some glue and have a go at that. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I might just keep the overmold on there and then just put heat shrink over the overmold so I got a nice chunky probe connector. So there you have it. While you're still with me, those of you who have managed to hang on thus far with this kind of quite rambly, random video, yeah, you can just, do you want to watch me put this back together? Pat this bad boy back together, why not? I'm just going to pop the buttons in. Again, all these buttons are lovely and anodized, and just show you, look at that. They put them together capped on tape just to make it a bit easier. I'm going to assume that's the on button, goes in that way. It's going to require a bit of interesting manhandling here because we want that end in first, and then I'm going to tilt it that way because I don't want that other button to come out. Ooh, off. Ah, no. On. Oh, there's loads of funk though under the screen. Oh, I think I might live with it. Okay, let's just have one last look. That's it. That's it. That's about the maximum amount of effort as I'm going to go to clean that screen. A little puff. I might get one of those little camera lens puffer things. I've seen those in the shops. Don't know what they're called. Yeah, our little button here isn't cooperating. It's not out enough. Yes, got it. Stay down. So these are neat. You can get quite a lot of firmware updates for these, and you can run them in all different modes. I got this because I wanted to use the XY mode for a gyro beam thingy. if you look at my other videos of the sort of vector art on the oscilloscope screens. But the problem I've got with this is I don't think it actually has an XY mode, and I certainly haven't discovered it while we've just been playing with it now, so I'm going to have to look at that. But if I go on the firmware sort of open source sites, I'm sure someone's written a firmware for it to do exactly that, because it's kind of easy. You don't have a time base to worry about, you just want to show the sort of XY trace and just adjust the height and center position. But I will show you one thing. If you turn it on, I've got certain things loaded. So if I hold this button down while I load it on, so these can be all your different programs basically. There's a logic analyzer mode, and that's the logic analyzer mode. So you can see it's got like this A, B, C, D, and looking for a probe again. Ironically, as we have so many, it might not show anything because I'm pretty sure the signal output is off. But if you do have a circuit, a logic circuit, there you go. I'm just going to unplug that. So you can see it's sort of captured the sort of trace here, and it said, look, there's a 19-second gap here, and then a 300 microsecond gap here. So it's sort of buffering. It is recording, so you can record certain things. I don't know what. Oh, look, there you go. So you can change the. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? So you can sort of play with that. I haven't really used it too much, but you can then scroll the position. So you can save the trace itself, and you can actually save the BMP, because if you plug it into a USB, and I'm seeing this very underlined looking thing, there we go. If you plug it into the USB, you can download this because it will act as a sort of pen drive type thing. So, and if I hold this other button down, the last button, and turn it on, it has some sort of frequency response chart where it sort of measures the internal sort of frequency response, and the reason is it can use this as a calibration curve for the actual scope itself. So someone's written that, and there's loads of programs they've written. So I hope that's been of some use for you. I know I planned to do one thing and I end up doing another, but that's often the way when you start playing with these sort of gadgets and electronics. But you know, the end result is we do have a working set of probes, and I'm very pleased about that. Please feel free to leave comments down below, click like and subscribe if you're that way inclined, and as ever, thank you for watching. Just a little back office twip for you. If you've got something like this and you've used this heat shrink and you can see there's a bit of a gap, and you're a bit unhappy with that because you wanted that heat shrink to shrink all the way on, and you don't want to undo that, what I like to do is take some glue gun glue, and I'm going to take a little slice off some glue gun glue, and be warned, depending on how your glue gun works, it might be more beneficial to slice it off one way or another, but here it takes it from the bottom, so it won't worry about the side so much. Take that little sliver of glue gun glue, pop it down there, and then just heat the whole thing up again with your hot air blower, and that will melt in there and fill that up with glue. Nice potted, solid glued end. There you go, try that.